everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bullish or Bearish. I'm Angela Chu from Success Options Group, and I'm here with my brother Tony. And today we're going to go over another hot financial topic, which is, really giving you both sides of the story so that you can actually understand what's going on and make a good decision for yourself.
Yes, thank you, Angela. The topic we're going to talk about this time is debt and the evils of debt, right? And the fact, we have a whole workshop based off of this, so make sure you sign up for a workshop and check out the schedule. But what we're really talking about is the evils of debt, right? And the famous saying is buy now, pay later, right? And how this is causing people to dig deeper and deeper into a hole that they never can get out of.
Okay, so yes, this whole buy now, pay later can be a somewhat of an issue, but the thing is, how many people can actually afford to buy a house in full? That is just not really feasible for most people. So people have to go into debt. Mortgage is a type of debt. People want to own a home. You can't expect people to be able to save up, $500,000, to buy a house in full. That's why there are things like mortgages and bank loans. There are certain types of debt that just have to be that's just the way things are.
So, you're talking about certain parts of debt, and what this topic is trying to talk about all of them, right? So for me, most people, and this is we just got done with the holiday season, right? So people were spending, and it's the holidays, you're giving to family and friends, and you're just running up that tab on your credit card. And that comes due at some point, right? Very quickly here into the new year, right? So, it's something we talk a lot about in our workshops, but you start counting how much debt you have and how much your credit card interest payments are, and just start stacking up, and you are slowly in the black, and or red. You're more is going out than coming in, right? So this is the whole problem with a lot of people, is that they're not accounting for it, and they're just spending more than they're bringing in, and they're just going to wind up in a world of hurt.
Okay, but that's not actually a problem with debt itself. That's a problem with people's financial decisions. Their ability to make judgments about their own financial situation. Because yes, the kind of debt that you're talking about is terrible. But there are certain types of debt that actually are good, because if it depends on what you're using the debt for. If you're using the debt, if you're borrowing money to actually do something that's going to actually make you more money, like investing in real estate or investing in the stock market. If you're investing in ways that the money will actually make you more money, and it beats the amount of interest you're paying. So, only if you're making more than the interest you have to pay on the money that you borrowed. That could be considered good debt, because you're borrowing somebody else's money to do something to make yourself more money. And as long as you have that margin where you're making more than you borrowed, then hey, why not?
So, most people are not thinking in that terms, right? They're not thinking and doing that kind of analysis. What are the most common senses of debt, right? There's student debt, right? There's auto loan. You talked about credit cards, right? Auto loan, credit cards, home debt. And the worst thing about student debt, people go and they study some kind of the major that has no application in real life, and they now have this debt that can never get rid of, right? You can't go into bankruptcy, you can't get rid of it. And I think what we've been trying to do in our workshops and our sessions is how do you become an investor? How do you get out of that mindset of just buy now, pay later, right? And just keep planning for the future. I will make more money in the future, right?
Okay, so that whole I will make more money in the future is not the right financial mindset to go into this. Really, when you have to think about your debt, you have to be able to divide out all the money you owe and be able to make a decision. Okay, what kind of debt is actually good debt? And when I say good, it's relative. And what kind of debt is bad debt? Any kind of debt that does not make you money is not a good debt. Okay, so having a debt to like purchase a home that you're going to end up using for like rental property, as long as you're making more on the rental property than the interest on the loan, that could be considered a good debt because you're making more than you're paying. But like, for instance, like you were saying, like if you're talking about the debt for the house that you own yourself, that you live in, that might be iffy because you have to, balance like how much are you paying for property tax and all of these things with, how much appreciation the house is worth. So I can see that it's actually a lot of math that people aren't doing, but that does not mean that all debt is bad, because a lot of it is about, figuring out, well, what debt do I have to get rid of first?
Yeah, so I mean, you mentioned one of the ones that always is brought up was good debt, right? Is the house, right? So you're the mortgage and an investment property, and if you're living in there, right, it's not generating cash flow, it's not making returns. So you're banking all on appreciation that the house will be more valuable in the future than it is now, right? And I think some people get this idea, well, let me put 2.5% down on this house and I'll just keep making the payments. Is more than I can afford, but it's an investment. And that's a terrible way to think about it, right? It's a wrong way. And where somebody might think it's good debt, it's actually bad debt because it's overcoming their ability to pay for it. And then one thing happens in life, or life happens, as we like to say in our sessions, and you're in trouble.
So, but that still is not really about the debt. That is actually still about people's ability to make good decisions. And that actually has nothing to do with like whether or not debt is good or bad, because if you cannot make good decisions, all debt is bad. It's only when you can actually make good financial decisions for yourself that you can actually differentiate between debts that are good and debts that are bad. So, I mean, it's really about people's education, people's knowledge. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we give these big workshops on debt, is because, a lot of people don't realize that they don't actually know enough to tell the difference.
Yeah. So like Angela just said, like the key to be a good investor is to have this understanding, this education, this knowledge, right? So make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe, watch some of our prior videos, and we'll see you next time.